Hi everyone, this is Mr. Book 451 at outlook.com. That's my email, mrbook451 at outlook.com. Dorset Bob, welcoming you to my sixth YouTube video, sales video. I say sixth, I think it's actually my seventh, but one of them I took down because most of the stuff had sold. So if you see my other videos, if they're still up on YouTube, it means there's still, a good amount of stuff left in those that's unsold. Normally, typically I sell about a third of what's in the video quite quickly, and then the rest sort of tends to just dribble out. So if they're still up on YouTube, it means there's still some stuff left. So everything you're going to see is for sale. I'm based in the UK, but I sell books now. I'm happy to send all over Europe, all over the world. There are certain countries I don't send to, but they are few and far between. And I have this slogan, which some of you will now know: you never regret the books you buy, only the ones you don't. Now, this is particularly true today. So pay attention, boys and girls, because there are books here that you will see that you'll never see again. Not the ones I'm going to show you. And the editions in the condition you probably won't see for years and years. And that's if you keep looking hard. If you go to eBay, you won't find them. Okay, guarantee it. Okay, so Mr. Book 451, Dorset Bob, and I've got for you today a Robert E. Howard special. So we've got hardcovers, we've got paperbacks, and we've got sort of pulpy type things with Howard stories in, which I'm going to go through. I'm going to start with the hardcovers. So I'm going to move these paperbacks on the one side. We've got about 25 paperbacks, half a dozen magazine type things, and half a dozen hardcovers, and some nice things. So let me just pop these to one side. I'm going to start with, now I'm going to stand up as I always do and just check that where the book is being placed is roughly in the middle, so that I'm not showing you and you're missing the top half or the bottom half of the book. So there we go. I must apologise, I sound like I've got a really bad cold, and there's a good reason for that. I've got a really bad cold. Now, my wife knows that I am very, very bad at keeping quiet when I'm ill. I moan and groan endlessly. So I'll try not to do that too much while I'm doing a YouTube video, but I do feel a bit rough. But here we go, if you're wondering why I sound a bit weird. The Iron Man. So boxing stories. As you probably know, if you've got the slightest interest in Robert E. Howard, you will know that he wrote for a lot of the Pulp magazines. He wrote boxing stories, westerns, action stories, pirate stories, weird tales stories, you name it, science fiction, etc., etc. This is ex-library, but I quite like this where you get somebody's book plate. It's part of the history of the book, isn't it? I've got £15 on this. It's a Donald Grant from, I think, 1976. Lovely linen. Okay, a little bit faded on that gilt lettering, but really sweet little hardcover. Donald Grant used a really nice condition paper, quality paper, 1976, 4 stories with an introduction. Glenn Lord administering the estate of Robert E. Howard. So as you're probably aware, in the 70s, there was this huge resurgence of interest in Howard in the States and over here as well. I said Howard was popular in the pulps. Here's the complete action stories. So the stories he did for the Western that was called Action Stories, which was sort of a Western stroke adventure. This is Wildside Press. I've got £25 on this. This is basically a new copy, or as new, from 2001, Paul Herman. Wildside Press is American publisher there, nice linen. I put these protectors on dust wrappers, so this is me that's done that. They're inert, chemically inert, and they just protect the dust wrapper. They stop any accidental spills of coffee, or in my case, wine. So there we are, very nice. and that one is £25. This is a reprint from the 70s, which is a reprint of Pulp stories, or a printing of Pulp stories. Swords of Shahrazad. That great scimitar. I've always wondered why scimitars are curved. What is it about a curved sword that makes it a better fighting implement? Now there's a university dissertation for somebody, isn't there? This one does have a bit of fading down on that spine. Fax did a number of these reprints. I think I've got 20 quid on this one. Yes, I have, £20. There is a little bit of spotting. And on the page edges there, a little bit of foxing or spotting. But what makes these really nice books is they use good quality paper. This is again from 76. And they had illustrations throughout, including beautiful colour illustrations. So it was part of that idea that you would produce a collection of books that would grace a library. So very, very nice. There we are. Okay. Similarly, Donald Grant, Black Volmir's Vengeance. This is pirate stories. Now, we do have, again, just a little bit of discoloration to the bottom of the spine end there, a little mark on the cover. Not bad otherwise, no closed tears to report, just a little bit of rubbing, so it's kind of VG to VG plus. But again, these books are beautifully produced, lovely quality paper. And, you know, just really nice to build up a library with this kind of work. There we are. I was just trying to find some of the colour plates to show you. Where are we? Come on, baby. There we are. So nice colour plates in there as well. And lovely. Okay. From Golden Fleece magazine, which is one of the pulps, sort of 1930s pulps, difficult to locate. Although I do have a couple of copies of Golden Fleece in stock, but not with Robert Howard in. Here we are. Let's show you that there. What have I got on this one? I think this was 25. I'll make it £25. How's that? Because it's Christmas. Nearly Christmas. It's a scary thought. Now, if you are a fan of beautiful hardbacks, you cannot help to be a fan of this book, or this publisher, Wandering Star, who decided to do reprints of a lot of the Howard stuff in the early 2000s. I'm not sure their project was fully completed. They did a trade edition. Would you believe this is the trade edition? It's just sumptuous. Headbands, tailbands, proper boards, linen covered boards, beautiful print quality. Now, what I've done with this book is I've also added some extras. So this has 2 postcards, which are individually actually signed by the artist Gary Gianni. Now, I know they're signed by him because he signed them for me at one of Tom Lesser's Los Angeles paperback shows, where he had a table and I had a table. I'd taken books over to sell and to trade, and he signed these in my presence. So I had a little stack of these cards from Wandering Star, and he very kindly signed those. So that's not a printed signature, that's his signature. Okay, so I'm adding those to this book, and also a book plate that Jeff West at Conquistador, who was handling the distribution of Wandering Star books, gave me a little batch of these. So I'm popping one of those in there. It's like a frontispiece for the limited slipcased edition, but they used them as kind of advertising. So I'll just slip one of those in there as a little extra. And as I say, if you don't know these books, and this is as fine as you can get, I mean, it's fine. They are absolutely beautiful. They're illustrated throughout, they have colour plates, and they are just beautiful. Production quality, you will not get better production quality. So headbands, tail bands, you've got gilt edging to the pages on the top edge. It's just beautiful. And, you know, it's £50. It's not going to break the bank. I have another one, which is the Frazetta, Frank Frazetta, The Ultimate Triumph, Heroic Fantasy. Again, as new, Wandering Star, beautiful. Again, I've got some little extras for you. Again, the book plate. One of the Gary Gianni's signed, but also these two. I didn't get to Frazetta to sign them, but they are for The Ultimate Triumph there, look. So I felt they ought to go with that book. So there we are. You get the book in pristine condition, and you also get those little few extras, and that is £50. I only have one of each of those, and I kind of get the feeling there may be multiple orders. So you need, if you're at all unsure, you know, don't hang around is what I'm saying. You'll regret it. Okay, a few poppy little things. So what we've got here is Worlds of Fantasy. This has got Howard story and Delinda Est, but it's also got a Conan, which is Lynn Carter and Sprague Camp, Conan and the Cenotaph. It's got Silverberg in it, Mac Reynolds. I mean, it's just one of those sort of pulpy type things. Volume 1, number 1. It's £8, this one from me. What date is this? Am I being dim? Just scanning it for a date. Jack Gochen. Illustrating... I kind of say 70s. I think I'm being dim. I can't see the date on that. But I think it's 70s. Oh, look who's on the back. Mr. Spock. Hello, Spock. He's on the back. Fantastic Universe from the mid-50s. Look at that. It's Robbie Howard and Sprague de Camp. Hawks over Shem. This is £6. It's VG. It's a little bit of aging to the edges. It's complete. It's solid. It's your usual lineup. Look, Tom Godwin, who did the Cold Equations, I believe. One of the famous stories from Astounding in the 50s, 40s, 50s, 40s. Cold Equations, can't remember. Not a bad copy, October 55. There we are, a little bit of a crease on the edge there. I think I do have more than one copy of that. The other copy I've got is not quite as nice and would be slightly cheaper. This one, Fantastic Universe from 55. This one is really crisp and nice. It's very sharp. December 55. I'll tell you a story where these came from. I was with the wonderful Tom Lesser in Los Angeles, and he took me around all his dealer friends, and one of them had a bookshop. I can't remember where it was. It might have been Glendale in Los Angeles. And you had these buildings, they call them blocks, don't they, where you get the shops, let's say, I don't know, 5 or 6 blocks, 5 or 6 shops between one street and another street, and they call it a block. And the guy who had the bookshop had the basement underground, and it ran the whole length. So whilst he only had one shop in the block, he had the whole basement. And he had thousands and thousands of science fiction magazines, pulps, digests, whatever. Sadly, he's no longer there. I'm going back 20 years. But it was great fun going down there and exploring. It was almost like going in a time machine. And just seeing piles of Fantastic Universe and Astounding and amazing stories and all these things. Ace doubles, kind of, just mountains of them everywhere. And I bought rather a lot. I shipped them all back. But there we are. So I've had that a while. Lovely, isn't it? Conan, Man of Destiny. I've got £8 on that. It's a really nice, sharp copy. Magazine of Horror. There's 2 copies here. One is number 36. This is The Grisly Horror by Robert E. Howard. This is a kind of good copy, fair to good. It's £6. It does have a tear along the spine fold there. That's the trouble when you have just 2 staples, side stapled, side stabbed, as they call it. With these wraparound covers, they do tend to wear on there. This one is not worn. This one is actually really nice. This is kind of VG plus to near fine. This one is number 9. Also has William Hope Hodgson in this one, but it does have Skulls in the Stars, Robbie E. Howard. So this one is 10. Okay. Then we've got The Garden of Fear from the 1940s with an Alva Rogers cover. Alva Rogers was the guy that did A Requiem for Astounding, if you remember that, which was a kind of nostalgic look at all the issues of Astounding. It's a great book, actually, if you're into that kind of pulp writing and you like learning about it from a kind of fan's point of view. Alva Rogers is very readable in that respect. He's probably a little bit too nostalgic and probably not enough. He wasn't a critic, as it were. He was just a fan, but he sort of went through every issue and remembered the stories with great fondness, because obviously he read them as they came out. This one does have a bit of wear on that, where the spine folds over and he's got two staples there, side stapled. It's actually an interesting book, this one, because this is, at one time was not uncommon. I think it's getting less and less common, but it's actually has 3 different incarnations. I'm just taking some medicine for my cold. It has this greeny blue one. There's another kind of greeny blue that I think is darker, and then there's a yellow one. They all have the same artwork, they just have different coloured paper, because that sort of greeny blue is not printed, that's actually the paper. And the black is just printed on top of that greeny blue. Anyway, I'll stop rambling on, that's 15 quid if you want it. It's not the end of the world, is it? Fancy Digest with the Graveyard Rats. Now, I'm going to do this as a kind of special for a £5, because I do have, I think, 3 copies of this. So if you want that, it's got the Graveyard Rats, Fancy Digest, as a £5. Right, so we've done the pulpy things and we've done the hardcovers. Now we'll focus on the paperbacks. Now, these aren't in any kind of real order as such, so forgive me if this seems a bit random. Trails in Darkness. I don't know how to pronounce this. Is it Bean? B-A-E-N. Bane. Bane. Who knows? Who cares? It's got a little bit of discoloration down there. It's £8, this one, 1996. It's a first printing. It's a nice, sharp, tight copy. VG Plus to near fine. Easily. Now, one of the Orbit UK reprints, these are becoming quite difficult to find, especially if you look at that unbroken spine. But if you look at that purple, not faded on that spine at all, that is really nice, tight, sharp. Now, this is what we're saying about buying books when you see them, because, you know, if you suddenly said to yourself, oh, I want to get the Orbit Robert E. Howard reprints, because I like them, they're all kind of uniform with this kind of thing at the top. And you'd scan eBay and you'd find all these manky, dog-eared, blooming bits of rubbish. Yes, I got 20 quid on this, and you might £20 for a second-hand paperback. But, you know, they're just not turning up in sharp, crisp condition like that. You can buy them all tatty and kind of messed up for 12 quid if you want. Or you can buy this one for 20 quid. And I'm not saying that because I'm desperate to sell these things. I mean, quite often I sell them and I think, oh, I wish I hadn't sold it. I wish I'd kept that. But I'm getting rid of all my books, so. But, you know, I'm just saying that because it's the reality of it. And you'll know what I'm talking about if you're a scan eBay. Moon of Skulls, this is one of the Time Lost series, Central Press. They did a number of sort of, you know, reprints of stuff. They did all sorts of things. Sort of pulpy type things. Moon of Skulls, like Sword and Sorcery, that's £8. It's kind of VG to VG plus. It does have a bit of a re-increase down the back there. Not so much on the front, but it's reasonably crisp and sharp. They never use particularly good paper, so it always tends to tan a bit. There we are. Now, this is one of these really interesting Berkely Robert E. Howards. I really like these, and they are not common. These have this fold out. So if you've never seen these before, take a breath. There we are, look at that. So they have what they call a fold out poster. I hope the camera's in the right place to show you this. I'll find out when I review the video in about 10 minutes. But what a lovely copy that is. Now, the other thing about this that makes it special, and this is what I was saying at the start of the video, you're only going to get offered this once, right? This is edited, and it says the authorised edition edited by Karl Edward Wagner, and this is, of course, inscribed to John Harvey, who ran away to see Karl Edward Wagner. It says to John, but it's John Harvey. John Harvey was a long-time member of the British Fantasy Society who also ran Spectre Press, which was a small press publisher of sort of sword and sorcery, fantasy type stuff. He was very active in the British fantasy scene for many, many, many years. Sadly passed away a number of years ago. This comes from his collection, and he met Karl Edward Wagner and he signed it. Karl's no longer with us. Now, you know, it's the only one you're going to find. Association copy like that. And that's gorgeous. And just check what I put on there because I took this one out of the bag. Yeah, I've got £50 on that. I mean, the book itself is scarce, but being signed by Karl Wagner, you know, I'm sorry, but you're just never going to find that again. Similarly, Red Nails. There we are. Again, same thing. This one I'm not taking out of the bag, but it's the same thing. It's, you know, a pretty nice copy. It's not mint, but it's near fine. I've got 50 on this. Again, inscribed to John Harvey from Karl Edward Wagner. This one is not, it's got the illustrated, the fold out poster. It's part of this Berkely series. It's the first printing. I mean, again, look at the red on there. There's no fading on that. And as you know, red fades so quickly. It's 20 quid. So it's not breaking anyone's bank. Again, similarly, The Last Ride. Beautiful orange, crisp spine, 20 quid. I mean, when you think a new paperback, something you can just order from Waterstones tomorrow, will cost you the best part of 10 quid. And that's 20 quid. Now, yes, it's double, but do you know what I mean? You can't just go and say, oh, I'd like a copy of the Marches of Valhalla in pristine condition, please, from the 70s. You know, and then I'll pay 10 quid. It doesn't work that way. You just can't go out and order these things anymore. Look at that, beautiful. £20, Marches of Valhalla. Okay, let's move now to another of the Time Lost, Centaur Press Time Lost, The Hand of Cain. Again, sharp, crisp copy. It's got that full colour printed back cover which bleeds on all three sides, or three sides, obviously not that full side. And the problem with that is it's a printer's nightmare. I used to work in printing. I know it's a printer's nightmare because it just rubs. Unless you varnish it immediately or laminate it, it will just rub because it's a solid block of ink. So it's got the usual rubbing, but it's kind of, again, the typography on the spine is nice and crisp and clear in that sort of purple, pinky purple. £10 for that. Similarly, this is another one of those Orbit ones that I mentioned before, Three-Bladed Doom. Lovely book. I mean, you know, and again, no fading. Look, no creasing or fading. So if you like your paperbacks as objects, as collectible objects, not just to read, but as a collector's item, this is the sort of thing you need to be buying. There's no point in putting money into beaten up rubbish that, you know, people will try and flog you on eBay. 12 quid. You know, I'm not going to get that book again in that shape probably for years. Okay. I'm not trying to sell these to you. I'm just trying to look after you. I'm just trying to say this is Uncle Bob Dorset Bob just trying to look after your best interest. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. These used to be in Woolworths. 10p. They came over in huge quantities. Ace books. When I, in the late 70s, early 80s, when I was book hunting, when there were these things called second-hand bookshops and you could go book hunting, I used to have this trip from Dorset that would go down through, I would go east, so past Southampton. There was nothing until you got to Southampton. There used to be one bookshop in the New Forest, but it was rubbish. And you'd go past Southampton. I never bothered with Southampton particularly. That was a different trip. But I would stop in places like Worthing and Arundel and down into Brighton to see David Pringle at Interzone in Brighton. I could do 13 second-hand bookshops in a day. And I used to fill the car. I mean, literally, the car would be full. And every shop you go into would have aces, ace doubles, you know, Centaur Press, blah, blah, blah. All these were there. They were around. I was buying them. Now I'm selling them. Almeric. I remember reading this. This is one of those books that genuinely, when you start reading it, you can't put it down. You just read it in one day. One sitting almost. 18 quid I've got on that. It's a pretty nice copy. There's a little bit of very light surface creasing on the rear cover at the corners, at the edges. But as I say, they used to be everywhere. They're now nowhere. All disappeared into little collections. What do we got here? One of the Zebras, who did a lot of Howard stuff, and first paperback publications, The Vultures of Wapperton. Now, I always thought Wapperton was somewhere near Basingstoke. Probably isn't. It's probably nearer Guildford. I don't know, but it sounds like that, doesn't it? Wapperton. I went to Wapperton to the pub the other day. I don't know. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. It's £18, Jackals, Wolves and Vultures you get for £18, look, and Magic to boot. These are all first printings, by the way, unless I say otherwise, because Zebra did do second printings where they just overprinted it with second printing. But I'm pretty sure that I've checked all these. The Gods of Baal Sagoth. Now, this one is one of those that does have just a tiny little dink there and tiny little dink there. And this used to be kind of around, but it always had a saw cut on it, which is the way of remaindering things in the old days. Got £20 on that. Look at that again, the ink colour's still very, very nice and sharp. Good. She-Devil, this has got one of my old price stickers on from years and years ago. I've never repriced this. This should be more than £9.50, but it's not. First paperback, ace printing, first ace printing. Look, again, beautiful red. Beautiful red. Near fine. This one's not near fine. This one is more, I suppose it's still collectible, but it's more in the reading thing. The Swords of Shahrazar, £6. One of those Orbit ones again with that thing there. But yeah, it does have fading. It does have fading there, but it's not creased and it's okay, I suppose. Anyway, I'm not really selling that one terribly well, am I? 1976, look, Futura. What Orbit was trading as. Look at this, King Cole. Lancer books. Look again. Now that's not creasing, by the way. That is just the actual paper has ruffled when they were binding it. That's not a reading crease. I'll pull the thing down so you can see that. Okay, that's £20. That's from the mid-60s, one of these Lancers. And look, the purple is beautiful on the bottom, the foredge and the top edge. 60 cents, first print. That, the Howard Collector, again, lovely. I do have, I think, a spare of this that's not in quite as nice shape and be cheaper. It's £15 I got on this one. I think there's 8 or 9 on the other one because it's just got a little bit of fading there. It's a little bit less crisp and nice. Getting towards the end now. Conan the Freebooter, another one of these Lancers. This was in their series they did where they numbered them all. This does have a bit of fading on the top edge and a bit of sunning, I believe. Yeah, there we are. A bit of sunning on that top edge, typical of books that have been in America. I've got 18 on that. That shouldn't be 18, that should be 15. Let's do 15 on that. Conan the Freebooter. Yeah, that's from 1968. So again, it's, you know, it's a nice book. There we are. If I hold that open, you can see the contents there. So Howard with Sprague de Camp's assistants. And yeah, we'll call that one 15, I think, rather than 18. And then the final two that I'm going to show you, both Solomon Kane's. These are the first paper publications. Again, they got a fold-out cover, Bantam. Really nice copies, these. Now, these are both signed by Ramsey Campbell, who wrote the introduction. So this one is just flat signed by Ramsey Campbell, who wrote the introduction to this book. So that's £20. And this one, I'm pretty sure is inscribed, warmly inscribed by Ramsey Campbell to John Harvey. Again, John Harvey, £20. There we are, The Hills of the Dead. So, these are in bags. Just a reminder, I do sell the BCW paperback book polypropylene bags. If you want to add a packet of these to your order, you know, providing you don't go over the, whatever the sort of weight band is, then obviously you're not going to pay any postage. If you order 3 or 4 paperbacks and I've got to send it small parcel, you might as well stick one of those in. They're $9.95 for 100 bags. I am going to get the digest ones. They should be arriving soon. I don't know when, but soon. They all come from the States, and it depends on customs and things like that. But I should be getting the slightly bigger ones as well. But at the moment, I've got the paperback book ones. And just to say, if you are at a loose end on Sunday, the 8th of September, so Sunday, is it Sunday the 8th of September? I think it is. Morris is having a bit of a do at his place in Westbury in Wiltshire. Morris Flanagan, you probably know him as Zardos, or All You Need Is Books. There's a few people going down, bringing books with them. I will be going down to have a look and to move on in parts of my collection. So if you'd like to say hello and come down, just have a look online. I think Morris has put it all on Facebook, actually, so Facebook and online, and I will see you then. So here's Dorset Bob, Mr. Book 451 at outlook.com, saying goodbye.